Mm. What is up? What's up, everybody? Here from the Schwanky, amazing, high high tech studios at the Travel Lodge by SeaWorld in San Diego. Why am I here? Well, chat. I have to cover. Well, not have to cover. I chose to cover Emmanuel Navarrete versus Undisputed for the WBO lightweight title tomorrow. So I'm in San Diego getting some work done. I was in San Jose last night. Got to cover some 49ers stuff. You guys know I love the Niners. I cover the Raiders. Love the Niners. I leave the pom-poms. I leave the Steve Young jersey at home when I cover the 49ers. Don't get me wrong. Professionalism is still needed. But yeah, that's a little bit of a labor of love. And now it's time to get to the good work, man. It's time to get to Emmanuel Navarrete tomorrow. I got the round by round tomorrow. I will make sure you guys stop by tomorrow for the live round by round for Fury versus Usyk. I was waiting for my YouTube to start so I could pause it. Hold on. Yes. So I thought we'd talk a little Fury-Usyk before now less than 24 hours away from the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of the world. What's up, Rob the Barbarian? What's up, Alec Villa, Uzi Chrome Hearts? Everybody, what's going on? Just want to pause my YouTube before I keep going. Okay, we're good. So Boston says he's hoping for a Usyk win. And yeah, so I'm picking Usyk, and I never picked Usyk. For the last 2 years, 3 years, ever since this fight came to be thought of, and it really got concrete once Usyk beat Joshua in that first fight in 2022. But ever since this fight could be thought of, I've always picked Tyson Fury. I've always thought a great big man beats a great smaller man. And this is one of the few times I've ever picked a fight not based off of tape. I always make my fight picks based off of X's and O's, the technical stuff, the technical side of the sport. But this is one of the few times I'm making a gut pick. It's something in my gut as opposed to something I could quantify on the tape. Because on the tape, Tyson Fury is a better heavyweight than Alexander Usyk. On the tape, Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight since Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko's primes. And, I think that the guy that fought Deontay Wilder in 2020, February, right before the pandemic at the MGM, I think that guy is an all-time great heavyweight that would give any heavyweight, basically in the history of the sport, would have gave them their hands full the night he knocked out Wilder in their rematch. Fight number 3, he pulled it out. He went to that well and pulled it out, got himself off the canvas twice in the 4th round, and he knocked out Wilder. But his body wasn't in as good a shape for the 3rd fight. And you saw it in the results. He still won by knockout, but he went from running over Wilder like an 18-wheeler in what was it, 6 or 7 rounds, all one-sided rounds except maybe 2/3 of the first round. But besides that, it was all Fury. It was a rout. And then he almost gets knocked out in the 4th round of that 3rd fight. So that's quite a drop-off in performance from fight 2 to 3. And Wilder fought better. Something with Wilder was off that night with Fury. In the rematch, his legs were gone by the end of the 1st round. So Wilder was better in fight number 3, but it was also more competitive because he fought a worse version of Fury. I thought Fury looked good in his title defenses after the trilogy with Wilder. He knocked out Dillian White with the uppercut, and he stopped Derek Chisora, Dillian White. He stopped, the English heavyweights, his fellow Brits. And then the Ngannou fight happened. And I know everybody's saying he wasn't prepared for Ngannou. That wasn't Fury at his best. But I said this on the Porter Way podcast this past 3 days ago on Tuesday. And I remember, watching the Lakers growing up. And sometimes what would catch up with them in the postseason in the years they didn't win the championship was they were kind of inconsistent and up and down during the regular season, and then they get out executed by a hungrier, more disciplined team. And I guess that's what I see happening with Fury tomorrow. It's not so much that Usyk, Fury can match Usyk's speed. Usyk, even though he's the smaller guy, isn't really even the faster guy. Fury can match his speed. Fury can match much of his footwork, his hand speed. He's very smart. I think Fury's the best heavyweight of this era right now before he may potentially lose to Usyk. But, it's kind of fitting that Tyson Fury was named after Mike Tyson. And Alexander Usyk is most compared to Evander Holyfield because Evander Holyfield is the only guy to have become undisputed cruiserweight champion and undisputed heavyweight champion. And if Usyk wins this fight, he joins him, and that's it. That's the list. Usyk and Holyfield as the two guys who went undisputed at cruiserweight and heavyweight. So maybe fate has it that the guy who most resembles Holyfield in accomplishments, in Usyk, he beats the guy that was named after Mike Tyson as an underdog. That'd be a little bit of poetic, fitting irony there. I don't know, but. And Usyk, like Holyfield heading into the Tyson fight, is the humble warrior, taking on the brash superstar in Mike Tyson Fury. And part of why I'm picking Usyk is I think Fury, there's an accumulative effect to what Fury's been doing over the last couple years, blowing up in weight, coming back down in weight, taking one fight in peak form, the next fight not necessarily in peak form. And then most of all, being in that war with Deontay Wilder. That third fight with Deontay Wilder is the most brutal fight I've ever attended as a fan or as a journalist. And I've been going to fights live since Bernard Hopkins fought Jermaine Taylor in 2005, and July 16, 2005. So 19 years of going to fights, 13 years of covering fights. And Fury Wilder 3 was the greatest fight alongside Pacquiao Marquez 4 that I've seen in person, but it was even more brutal than Pacquiao Marquez 4 because it's a combined 500 pounds of men giving each other concussive brain injury, perhaps. So I think that took something out of Fury, and Dillian Whyte and Derek Chisora, Dillian Whyte just weren't able to expose that in him. And I suspect I'm banking on and picking Usyk that Fury has deteriorated just enough in intangible areas, not the stuff that jumps off to the naked eye immediately. He hasn't not deteriorating in hand speed or foot speed or anything like that, but deteriorating a little bit. He's still a dog. He's always going to be a fighting man, but deteriorate a little bit in desire, in punch resistance, and in conditioning. And that's how Usyk wins this fight. Usyk is more well-preserved, both in how he's taking care of his body and in the fact that he's been in less wars. Derek Chisora roughed him up early in their fight. Daniel Dubois, some people thought that wasn't low. That should have been a body shot knockout for Daniel Dubois, but he knocked him out. And outside of that body shot, didn't take a lot of punishment. Michael Hunter touched him up. Some of the cruiserweights, Maurice Briedis, he had a rally late against Briedis. And I know a lot of people, being smart with their boxing brains, are going, how could you pick Usyk to win this fight when he almost lost to the cruiserweight Maurice Briedis? And Fury is Fury. But that's like saying you got to pick Usyk because Steve Cunningham, a cruiserweight, a lesser level fighter, because he was a champion too, a lesser level fighter than Usyk, a cruiserweight, put Fury on his ass. So you got to pick Usyk. It doesn't quite work that way. But I just think that this is more of a gut pick. Something in my gut tells me Usyk is a little fresher and a little hungrier. And it's those kind of unforeseen things that I think are going to give him an edge over Fury. But if I'm wrong, I'll feel kind of stupid because the tape doesn't lie. And the tape says that Fury is the better heavyweight. Great big man beats a great smaller man. He could win this fight in a couple of different ways. He can have the kind of like what Teofimo Lopez did to Lomachenko, and in that Usyk is like a heavyweight Lomachenko. He loves to get to the blind side. He loves to get his southpaw lead foot, right foot to the outside of your lead foot, the orthodox lead foot, but Fury can switch. And this is what I mean by the tape tells me Fury would win, because Fury in the orthodox stance, like Teofimo against Lomachenko, has the athleticism, has the footwork to pivot off and take that angle away from the outside foot and keep Usyk lined up with his jab and his offense. And then he can also lean on Usyk. Usyk doesn't like it to the body, and Fury knows how to go to the body and be rough on the inside when he uses his size and his weight and his mass. So on the back foot, he could cut off Usyk's favorite angles. On the front foot, he could lean on him and hurt him to the body. There's a couple of ways Fury could win this fight. But I just suspect that from listening to him all week, I know Usyk they both have one foot out the door if you listen to him, because Usyk is saying he may want to retire. He said earlier in the week he would retire, then he walked it back and said he wants to fight a couple more years. There's conflicting reports. But Usyk's 1 foot out the door is more like one step away from tasting the sweetest of taste and being one step away from his destiny. And Fury with 1 foot out the door, even no matter what happens with Usyk, he's going to be demanded by the powers that be. Turki Al-Sheikh, Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren. They're going to want that Joshua mega fight, mega payday. And they're going to want to get his ass in that ring, whether he feels like fighting after a Usyk fight or not. So, you know, Fury still got a longer road ahead of him. Usyk already beat Joshua, and Wilder, especially if Zhang beats him, kind of has faded from the picture as you got to fight him too. So Usyk is one fight away, less than 24 hours from now, from solidifying himself as a legend. I got a super chat from Adrian Wells that I want to get to before I keep rambling here. Edgar Coda said, "What's up, Sean? Are you going live tomorrow?" I am. James Jackson said, "Are both fighters Hall of Fame at this point?" I think they are. Fury's done enough. He knocked out one of the great heavyweight punchers of all time. Not one of the great heavyweights of all time, but one of the great heavyweight punchers of all time in Wilder. Their third fight will stand the test of time as one of the great heavyweight title fights in boxing history, in my opinion. And he ended the reign of Vladimir Klitschko and beat a couple contenders in between that too, like Otto Wallin, Dillian White. So I think he's in, and Usyk has got to be in, having already beat Joshua twice and won 3 belts at heavyweight and been undisputed and been a gold medalist. So I think both guys are headed to the Hall of Fame regardless of the outcome. So Adrian Wells says, "What's good, Sean? How are you feeling?" Usyk by 11th round KO. Usyk will be 2-time undisputed. I love your boxing knowledge. Thank you so much, Adrian Wells. I appreciate that, man. Let me hit like on that myself. Yeah, yeah, and Usyk might have to win by knockout, because I think if it's a 7-5 fight for Usyk, there's a good chance he doesn't get the decision, because there's so much money involved in a potential Fury versus Joshua fight. That fight would be the biggest overseas heavyweight title fight of all time. And, you know, Joshua has already fought in Saudi Arabia and drew some good numbers in the 2 Usyk fights, and then I don't know about that. The pay-per-view actually, I heard, reportedly tanked against Ngannou in America, but whatever. Whatever. He made a shit ton of money, and they want to spend a shit ton of money on that fight. So Usyk, I do think Usyk, that's where he's not a one-punch knockout puncher. We know that. Fury is the harder puncher between the two of them. But if Usyk can hurt Fury, that's where his ability to put together combinations is going to help him. Because when you got a guy hurt, that you're better off if you're a good combination puncher and being able to finish him, as opposed to finding another big shot to send him out of there for the big KO. If Usyk can catch Fury with something he doesn't see coming, catch him in between punches, catch him in mid to close range, then I think he'll follow up with combinations, and, you know, maybe, you know, he'll try to push for a knockout. I think he'll fight with a little extra sense of urgency if he has, you know, Fury weary at some point. But he never really hurt Joshua. He buzzed him a number of times, but he never really hurt Joshua. And Fury's been down 7 times. Joshua's been down about the same amount of time. But again, it's just the gut feeling. You know, it's not something I can quantify as much on tape. I just think that Usyk's gas tank in particular can win him this fight. But I could even foresee Fury making this an easy fight and me feeling foolish tomorrow. But when I hear Tyson talking about, "I'm ready to walk me dogs, ready to go home. It is what it is. Get on with it. Get paid. Get laid." And like Tyson, if you think about it, folks, like when Tyson's had his best performances, whether it's Klitschko or Wilder, he was on fire. Fury's on fire. He's not on fire for this. And, you know, for me, it's kind of deep, because I keep talking about this, turning the switch on. And eventually you try to turn that switch on, but it catches up to you against a guy or a team whose switch never went off and has superior dedication and discipline. And Sure enough, now that fight week is here, the closer we've gotten to fight night, the more Fury has turned it on. Now he shoves Usyk forward with his face. He's talking about knocking him the fuck out. Fuck all of his whole team. They're all, what's the word he said? What's the word he said about his whole team chat? That, not that they're all sausages. He keeps calling Usyk the sausage, but he said shit houses. Yeah, shit houses. They're all shit houses. Part of that fury that we saw against Klitschko and Wilder shows up, the beast, the uncivilized gypsy king ready to knock someone's head off. But before he turned that switch on, he seemed more despondent, going through the motions a little bit. And Usyk's on fire for this fight. This fight means everything to him. Fury, it's another boxing match. It's just another boxing match. Two men get in, nothing more, nothing less. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. Still going to get paid, still going to get laid, go home to me wife and me kids, walk me dog. And when he fought Wilder and Klitschko, his heart was on fire. He was all in, and he doesn't feel as all in for this. And no one knows you better than your wife. And this is what I'm only bringing this stuff up to expand upon what's in my gut for why I'm giving an edge to Usyk. And, Paris Fury, I watched a little bit of their reality show with my wife, Samantha. We think they're a nice couple. They got a whole bunch of kids. And we think it's nice that Tyson's been with his wife, Paris, since before he became champion, since he was a teenager. We think that kind of stuff is beautiful because we've been together since we were teenagers. And Paris in the reality show is really trying to keep him retired. I noticed in the first couple episodes, and Fury's going along with it. Like, yep, I'm retired. Don't care. But then I think he sees Usyk and Joshua fighting and he gets animated, and it's like Apollo Creed watching Drago on the screen. And it's like, fuck retirement, man. I could beat him. He's not all that. I'm Apollo Creed. And same thing. Like, look at Usyk and Joshua, two sausages, two dosas, two shit houses. And, I could beat both of them on the same night, one hand time behind me back. And, Paris is like, no, you're retired. You're retired. And at the time, I'm like, I like Paris Fury, but she's nagging. It's like, Paris, the way you got to that great, comfortable lifestyle is by Tyson being a fighter. You're acting a little bit like Adrian in Rocky IV with Rocky when, you can't win. It's suicide. And Rocky's like, bitch, whatever. I'm going to Russia. This fight's happening. I'm winning this fight. And you could get down or lay down. You could either support me or I'm going to Russia with the boys to knock this guy out. And, I thought a little bit of that with Paris. Yeah. You think you want him home until he's home driving you nuts all day. And it's like, go fight. Go do what you love to do. But when Fury got dropped against Ngannou, kind of like when he got dropped in the fourth round against Wilder in the third fight, I saw a little bit of like questioning how much he really wants to get up and keep doing it. But because of the man and the fighter and the champion he is, he got his ass up and won both of those fights. But that's what you call going to the well. And you know what they say about going to the well? You can only go to the well so many times. And, part of me, when he got dropped against Ngannou, I laughed to myself and I said, hey, no one knows you better than your wife. Maybe Paris Fury was right. Maybe coming back for the money, for the Undisputed, for the legacy, for all that. Maybe she just knew her man after that war with Wilder had seen enough. And, I think that may play a factor in tomorrow night, why Fury loses to a smaller man he wouldn't have lost to a couple years ago. So I got a couple super chats. Charles N, what's going on? Said there's only one Tyson Fury. Tech Dumb Dad said, this is all part of Fury's game. You're right. I mean, and I misread. Well, I don't know. Now the Ryan Garcia thing, I guess I read it correctly. I thought I misread it because I picked the fight wrong and he made me look like an ass. But now maybe he didn't win the fight after all. We got to see what happens May 22nd. But I got a super chat from Troll Baiter, says, expect headlocks, clinches, judo throws, low blows from Fury, and expect Usyk to complain to the ref about body shots. Good call. And yeah, I think that's a good call. I think that's a good call, Troll Baiter. I think Fury will get rough in the clinch and that Usyk doesn't like it to the body. And Fury will bang him on the hip And you're right. Usyk will probably look at the ref like, hey, my hip. He's banging me on my hip. And Usyk's going to have to understand you're not going to get any favors here. You're not the A side here. You're not the guy who has a good relationship with Turkey Al-Sheikh, not like Tyson Fury does. So I think that's a good super chat, Troll Vader. Good point. Tech Dumb Dad, here's your super chat. Says, salute, Sean. I got Fury by very late stoppage or split decision. Usyk carrying that extra 15 to 20 pounds when he enters the ring hurts Usyk late. Well, it was reported, it got corrected. It was thought that Usyk weighed in at 233 pounds. And then it got reported again today that it was actually 223 pounds. So, you said 15 to 20 pounds. Well, unless you just mean in general, just being a blown up cruiserweight, having to fight at 223 in the first place when you're really a natural 200 pounder. But yeah, I mean, that might happen. Again, if Fury wins, I'll feel like I should have known better. I should have just stuck with the pick I always had, which was a great big man beats a great smaller man. But I mean, he almost lost the heavyweight championship of the world to a fighter with a record of 0-0, who was then knocked out. But styles make fights. Styles make fights. Joshua is a puncher, a true bona fide knockout puncher, and Fury is not. And so his style was better for Francis Ngannou than Fury's was. But he almost lost the heavyweight championship of the world to a guy who's 0-0. If that's not a little bit of sign of some type of deterioration in some kind of area, then okay. And it keeps bringing me back to my point about turning it on and turning it off will catch up with you eventually. It does in other sports, in football, basketball, the talented teams who've already accomplished a lot. They sleepwalk through the regular season and they turn it on for the postseason, and they get upended by a team who's been on all year. And yeah, that's what I mean with Fury. Like, okay, he sleepwalked through the Ngannou fight, but he lost his weight. Look at his weight now. He looks good, blah, blah, blah. And, he still doesn't look as good as he did for the second Wilder fight. Go look up photos of the second Wilder fight. He was solid and big and strong. And he looks a little thinner for this fight. I know the thinking behind it. He said as much that I got to be light on my feet. I'm fighting a quick boxer. I have to be quick myself. Maybe he's given up some of his advantage in size in doing that. Maybe it costs his punch resistance. I don't know, but less than 24 hours to find out. Silent Milo, thank you for the super chat too, says, it's just funny that life gave Tyson time to train and better prepare for a fight like this. You could almost see destiny working behind the scene. That's a good point. Maybe so, maybe it's Fury's destiny to win. He's been entrusted destiny before, but I feel like Fury had a more profound message behind him heading into his big fights with Wilder and Klitschko. And I don't feel that kind of profound message backing him this time. He's taking the money. He could have fought this fight in England, in his backyard, and done the patriotic thing and take some millions less to defend the title at home in front of his people. He took the money in the Middle East instead, and that delayed the fight longer. So maybe it was, and Usyk and his manager, Alex K, I have a hard time saying his last name, Alex Krasuk or something like that. He was being greedy too. He wanted the money too. But it's less egregious for Usyk because he's always a road warrior. He never gets to fight at home anyways. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if Usyk would, if he would be willing to fight in Ukraine for $20 million instead of Saudi for $50 million. I don't know. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But yeah. And yeah, back to my point about Fury, he was the one who had more of a profound message heading into the Klitschko fight. You're boring. You've been boring the heavyweight division for 10 years. Yeah, you're a great fighter, great jab, great right hand, power, great, physique. But this shit has been boring with you. This has been an awful era of heavyweight boxing, and I'm here to get rid of it. And you're pretentious. 20 languages, not one original thought, nothing to say, and his whole point about, look at me, I'm a fat man, and you're this great conditioned athlete, and I'm gonna beat you anyways. There was something like profound about that, and there's no profound messages really coming from Fury. It's a fight. It is what it is. Get on with it. The more profound message is coming from Usyk, who is that they're both Christians, and this is boxing. Boxing crosses political lines, religious lines. So it's all a part of it. And I'm going to talk about it. And they're both Christian guys, both family men, both men that I respect quite a bit. Actually, on a personal level, I've interviewed Fury more, and probably it's more easy for me to relate to Fury, who is from the West, than Usyk, who is from Eastern Europe. But it's Usyk who's more strictly adhering to the principles of his religion, as opposed to Fury, who just isn't as much as Usyk heading into this fight. And I understand a lot of you would say God has better things to do than worry about a boxing match, but Usyk's more lockstep with his values. He's walking the walk more than just talking the talk. And I was kind of touched by something. So Usyk did an interview in his backyard. I'll be honest, one thing I've never been a big fan of the former Soviet Union countries is their like condescension towards our culture in America, which is, these stupid capitalist country, they stupid culture. They like Cardi B and they like stupid reality movies and all that's true. I happen to agree with them on all those points, but they have that, what's the right word, chat? I don't know. Pretentious, holier than that. I don't know. And it's like, well, if our culture is so fucking stupid and so lame, then why has it been the dominant culture, leader of the free world? At least for a long time it was, and all that. Why did the Soviet Union fall then? If you guys are so smart and so steel-willed and not get sidetracked and distracted by stupid American culture and all this stuff, then we don't talk about our feelings and all that kind of stuff. I didn't used to like that about former Soviet Union countries and their culture. But Usyk said in an interview, he acknowledged what I'm getting at. And he said, my dad never told me he loved me until I won the gold medal. And, that was big. He teared up thinking about it. And then he went on to say, I think that's a problem in my country with the older people. They don't like to show love. They don't like to show feeling. He's like, I do. I love my fans. I love my kids. I got this stuffed animal that my daughter gave me before I come to the fight. And so I just see a man whose spirit is a little bit more locked in, a little bit better, on a more straight and narrow path heading into the fight, and can give him the kind of edge and spirit he needs to overcome Goliath, being David. So that's kind of how I'm reading into it. Let me see what else people were saying in the chat. Wilson said that can be a bad thing and a good thing. Buckham says our culture is shit though and backwards. It is. Don't get me wrong. Tech Dumb Dad said superiority complex. Sean Zittel. Okay, right. Got you into what I was trying to explain. So did you get a chance to see the weigh-in today? Asked my wife. David Bedford said, "What's good, B-side? How you doing, man?" But my wife says, did I see the weigh-in? I did see the weigh-in. Usyk's a little bit more trim, but Fury's bigger. Fury's got half a foot on him, 6 inches on him, and he's got, now that Usyk came in at, what did Fury come in, 262 or 252? Let me look it up real quick. I think he came in at 262. So he's got 40 pounds if in fact Usyk came in at 223. Weigh-in Usyk. I'm pretty sure he came in 262. Let's see. Yeah, he was 277 for Ngannou. Yeah, he's 262, the lowest he's been in almost 5 years since the Otto Wallin fight. So, and again, and I'm saying I think a little bit of his punch resistance will deteriorate a little bit in this fight, and the conditioning, we'll see if weight affects all that, or Fury is going to cement himself as the best heavyweight of his era and then go on and fight Joshua in the biggest British fight of all time and just go down as the best heavyweight of this era. Then so be it if that's it. But there you go. 262, got it. Let's see. Inoue versus winner of Ford and Ball. Well, Ford's going to win that fight, and I do think Ray Ford would be an amazing matchup for Inoue. Focus on creativity said, Sean, you got to stop discrediting Usyk like this. I'm picking him to win. If Fury loses, it's because he was never up to the level. Usyk has more fights and is older, so if anyone is past it, it's Usyk, with all due respect, bro. But Usyk doesn't have more fights. He's had 21 professional fights, and Fury's had a little bit over 35 professional fights. And Usyk's never taken the kind of, Fury may have taken more punishment in that third fight with Deontay Wilder than Usyk has taken in basically his whole professional career. And I know you may mention that Usyk had like 300 amateur fights and Fury only had 35. And I understand that matters too, but professional level fights, and I'm talking about the mileage Fury has put on himself, drug abuse, going up in weight several times, all of that. It can catch up to you against a guy who's as good and as disciplined as Alexander Usyk. So just how I'm reading into it. Let me see. Let's see. Charles N says, I do a great Bob Arum. I don't know if I got it right now. He's like, well, we went to Saudi Arabia because the fucking money in America. There's no fucking money in America anymore. The Saudis, His Excellency, they got all the money. They're putting on the big fights. So me and Frank, we knew we had to do business with them. So Usyk is going to get tested tomorrow, says Clarissa Turicos. Yeah, I mean, Usyk might never get past the jab, and Fury might make this a dominant performance. Fury can switch southpaw on him. He could lean on him. He could hurt him to the body on the inside. He could put the jab on him and take away Usyk's favorite angle to the outside of the lead foot. He could do all that and have a great performance. But something in my gut tells me the intangibles are going to win this fight for Usyk, or he's going to win 7 rounds and not get a decision. But if Fury, does his thing, I like Fury. I'm good for him. So, hey, Big Z, I got Fury in the 10th. You got Fury, Lord Zed. Good to see you, Lord Zed. And Sean Porter, my brother Sean Porter, he's got Fury. Timothy Bradley has Fury. Most people I respect in boxing have Fury. Chris Algieri took Usyk. And who else took Fury that I'm thinking of? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Tim Bradley, Sean Porter took him. Teddy Atlas changed his pick last minute to Fury as well. So there you go. Fury is a slight favorite. Slight, but he is a slight favorite. I just, man, no matter how you slice it, styles make fights. Ngannou's a much bigger man than Usyk, punches much harder, matches the length of Fury. Fury wasn't up for that fight. I get all that. But if you almost lost to a guy who was 0-0, is it really that shocking if the three belt heavyweight champion, undefeated gold medalist, if he beats you? I mean, this is a real 50-50 fight, because either way it plays out, you'll feel like, if you pick the loser, you'll feel like, I should have seen that coming. If you pick Usyk like I am, you'll be like, I should have seen it coming, that Fury would be too big and too good and quick on the outside for Usyk to outquick him on the outside, to outbox him. And then he's not going to beat the bigger man on the inside like that. I should have known that the guy who's 6 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier was going to win the fight. If you're picking Fury and he loses, you're going to say, I should have known that the guy that got dropped by Francis Ngannou, who was an 0-0 professional boxer, that he wasn't going to beat the 21-0 3-belt undefeated gold medalist. So let's take it easy on each other, whoever gets this right. So Stephanie Ray, good to see you, Stephanie Ray. You are always a legend in these parts. Says he's going to get that cut reopened. He may, but you don't want to focus on opening the cut up. Usyk's just got to be Usyk, and Usyk's got to win this fight by just having the better gas tank. And really, Usyk wins this fight with his conditioning. I think he's got to push Fury to a place where he gets exhausted, kind of like he did Tony Bellew. But Fury is so much bigger, and he's better than Tony Bellew. But Tony Bellew did a great job in the first half of the Usyk fight, keeping him on a line, lining him up with the right hand against the southpaw. and Usyk had to will that fight, had to just push Bellew to a place of exhaustion. And that's Usyk's gift at heavyweight, is he's a naturally smaller man with a naturally better cardio system, fighting big guys who get mentally and physically exhausted, biting on his feints. Just this constant stuff right here, this constant stuff right here, up and down, side to side, up and down, bending the knees, feint, pawing with the jab, then shooting it. All that lead hand shit and all that, those feints, it drains slowly, saps them of their mental and physical energy. And I always pick Fury because Fury's the one guy whom his feints might, when he's on, his feints might be even better than Usyk. And Usyk, everything's here, like Lomachenko. Everything is side to side. Fury got the, you know what I mean? He's got the sauce with the upper body movement. He could pull, southwest, northwest, northeast, everywhere, both hands down like this. And he's so tall, he'll make you fall. He'll get away with leaving the chin exposed and backing up like that because he's got the height and the reflexes. So don't get me wrong. I could totally see Fury winning the fight, but I just think that at this stage, Usyk, the same way he gives everyone problems with that lead hand feint, and Fury, he's gonna have a sense for when Fury's trying to rest in rounds. Someone like Wilder didn't have a sense for that. He would let Fury in that first fight con his way through a round. Feint, stick the tongue out, both hands behind the back, move around, take a walk. Now I got my energy, bing, bang, 1-2. Usyk, I think, will sense those moments when Fury's trying to con his way through the fight, and he'll push. He'll make him work when he doesn't want to work. And that's how I think he wins the fight, is with his conditioning more than anything, basically. So yeah. Charles N says, no man alive can feint better than the Gypsy King. His feints are beautiful. I mean, he's got I love his double feint with his double feint out of that orthodox stance, lead hand low, and pivots out. It's beautiful. Fury's a great fighter, in my opinion. I don't give a fuck what happens. He gets stopped in 7 rounds tomorrow. I know what my eyes saw February 2020 in the rematch with Wilder. That Fury was a monster who would have gave anybody, Ali, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis. I'm not saying he would beat them, but they would have their hands full against that guy, not against the guy that we last saw. And okay, he'll be better than the guy we last saw against Ngannou, but how much better? So Frank Mayan says, how dare you doubt the Gypsy King, Sean? I know. I hear you. I will feel foolish for doubting the big GK if he pulls it off again. So yeah, Usyk is beatable, says John. I've always thought he's beatable. I'm not a big fan of his style. Like I've come to appreciate it and respect it. But I still, it's a little robotic and stiff in some ways. And he doesn't do a whole lot of countering off the bat, doesn't do a whole lot of step back, run you into a shot. And I get, well, he's a shorter guy now, but even when he was fighting men his size, it's like Lomachenko, like everything is side to side, take the angle, get inside, let your quick hands go, but they don't know how to run you into shots off the back foot. Their head movement is all east to west. It's not pulling back, pulling out, taking, it's not like we see with the very best fighters from America and now even Mexico with Canelo. And I don't love that style, but I've grown to appreciate it for its effectiveness and how good it is. It's almost a little bit more of like an Olympic style than a great professional style. But so I agree, Usyk can be beat, but he always finds a way to win. And that's how I see him winning this fight. It's just he finds a way to win. So we'll see. Let's see. John said not a Usyk fan. I get it. Sam Gordon is in the chat. My man Sam Gordon from the San Francisco Chronicle. Love you, brother. Happy to have you in the chat, man. What is better for boxing in the eyes of the powers that be? That is your winner, says Tech Dumb Dad. Well, that would be Tyson Fury, so that they can make the Anthony Joshua super fight. So, let's see. Can I see a draw? Usyk heavier, Fury lighter. They both made adjustments for each other. Well, another thing I'd be worried about for Usyk is that he's a little stiff heading into the fight. Fury being relaxed. Sometimes you could want something so bad that you tighten up. And Usyk even said yesterday after the weigh-in, if I'm nervous, I don't win this fight. Like, well, that sounds like some doubt. And Fury doesn't have doubt right now. He doesn't care if he wins or loses, if you take what he says at face value. And I don't take that to say, I don't care if I win or lose, I'm coming to lay down. I just take it as a guy who's, kind of getting over it all. And, I think that leads to Usyk being a little hungrier. But Kenny Powers says, does Torres Jr. keep his KO streak going? Thank you, Kenny Powers, for being in the chat. I'll be at the fight tomorrow in San Diego. Look, I interviewed Brandon Moore. He was super confident, gave a great interview, gave a lot of great sound bites in there. I think it's a competitive fight. I do think Torres will win. Brandon Moore is a guy who started boxing in his 20s, and he has some natural talent, and he has the belief in himself, and he seems like a smart guy who is applying those smarts to his craft in boxing, and it's translating in the ring. But he's taken on a guy who's probably been boxing since he was a little kid, since he's very young, and Richard Torres, who has a great amateur pedigree, won the silver medal. And Richard Torres can punch, and Brandon Moore probably thinks he could walk him into shots, but he's going to find out that Torres is the real deal. Like Richard Torres reminds me a little bit of my man Sean Porter. He's going to be shorter than all the for the most, unless he were to fight Usyk, they're about the same size. Actually, he's a little bit bigger, but he's going to usually be the shorter guy who's got to be in and out, double jabbing just to get in range against these taller guys, trying to walk them into shots. But he's got great heart and conditioning. And he has, once you get in there with him, you realize that amateur pedigree, this guy got better skills than I thought. It's not as easy to walk him into shots and turn him as I thought. And that's what I think Brandon Moore will find out. I think Brandon Moore will find out that, all that experience mattered for Richard Torres and that he is a really good heavyweight. So I think it'll be competitive early. And I think Richard can get to him in the second half of the fight and stop him because Richard has power. He may be a smaller heavyweight in today's division, but he does have some power. He has some thump for sure. Yeah, I'll take Richard to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stops Brandon later in the fight. But I do think Brandon is going to give him by far the most resistance he's seen up until this point as a professional, for sure. But thank you for the super chat, Kenny Powers. John says, am I going to do live commentary for Fury and Usyk? Indeed, I am. I will be doing that live commentary for the fight tomorrow afternoon. So let's see. Titus 213, what's up, brother? Said, my man Sean, you need some good moderators for your channel, brother. Make me one for show. I got you, Titus. We'll be in touch. Tech Dumb Dad said, so far no trolls in here, so we might be good on the mod for now. But yeah, we'll see, brother. Thanks for offering, Titus. Eventually, hopefully, we will need a mod because these things will get crowded. Conscious Gains says, Sean, I'm from San Diego. Hope to see you there. Yeah, Conscious Gains, if you're at the fight, and we run in, please say what's up. Please say what's up. Look forward to seeing you there. Flowing River says, Fury is not exuding confidence like he normally does. Usyk seems supremely confident, more confident than when he fought Joshua. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll just see, man. I've given my take on it. May the best man win. And we'll see. If there's anything, did you guys want me to touch on anything? Once this weekend wraps up, Navarrete, Fury, Usyk, we got May 22nd, which is like the biggest day I could recall in boxing where a fight's not happening. And that's the Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, PED, B sample in the New York State Athletic Commission. I'm going to go live with whatever happens after that on the 22nd and probably go live the day before to give a gut feeling on what's probably going to happen. Right now, my gut feeling is B sample is going to come back and the fight will be overturned to a no contest. And Ryan will serve some type of suspension. He'll appeal it. And he'll try to provide some kind of damning link between Victor Conti and Vada and the Haney camp and all that. I don't know how successful he'll be in that. I just think he'll pursue it. Anything's possible in this world, in this sport, in this business. But for now, just to keep it safe and logical, I just think his B sample is going to come back the same. You heard his lawyer already say, we're talking about in the range in the billionth of a gram. Well, range being key word there, could be more than a billionth of a gram, could be a little less. Either way, unless it's a tenth of a billionth of a gram, then Ryan is going to be dirty. He'll have an abnormal finding. There was some debate on social media that because VADA's a third party, that the New York State Athletic Commission could still, say, well, that's not our commission guidelines. He tested clean for our tests, so we're not doing any suspension. Maybe Ryan's lawyer will try to force their hand in that regard. It is odd that the New York State Athletic Commission resigned. At first, Ryan and his fans made it seem like, oh, they resigned because something fishy is going on with the testing, and the woman's resigning before she could get in trouble with Ryan's legal team. But then when you saw Devin Haney's lawyer, Pat English, type up the 8-page paper about the New York State, he said some damning words about the Athletic Commission, that they allowed a mockery not a mockery of a fight, but basically they allowed Ryan Garcia to make a mockery of the rules, and that his client got, beat up in those mockery of a rules being allowed and sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. And that started to sound like some liability issues, although that letter, as confirmed by my man Jake Donovan from Ring, that letter was sent 3 days after. But people get their ears up, they get their antennas before things get broken to the public. And I don't know, maybe she knew that kind of thing was happening. I really don't know, but we will find out. All that speculation, not all of it, but some of it will come to an end May 22nd, and there will be more chapters opened up and branching off from whatever happens in the 22nd. But the 22nd hopefully will provide some answers. So Molly Mall asks, thank you for the super chat, Molly Mall. He says, Sean, do you think the Knicks can win the whole thing? No. And I love the Knicks, but if they were healthy, if all hands were on deck, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Bogdanovich, everyone was healthy, then yeah, they would have a shot. I still wouldn't pick them to do it, but I'd give them a real shot. They do have a shot against Boston as long as Porzingis is out of the series, but there's still the less talented team, and they still don't have home court against the Celtics, and they still don't have the best player. As great as Jalen Brunson's playing, I would trade Jalen Brunson for Jason Tatum. So I still think the Celtics win, but I mean, I bleed blue and orange, just like I bleed red and gold for the Niners, So I would love to see the Knicks win, but realistically, I wouldn't put my money on it. I do think they beat Indiana, and they make their first Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. I do think that. And that 2000 team was nice, because the 2000 team was basically the 1999 team that made the finals run against the Spurs, and they had an old Patrick Ewing manning the middle. So that 2000 teams was a really good team. Big BG Offner, good to see you, brother, as always, in the chat, says, have you taken steps to position yourself to start calling fights? I probably should take more meaningful steps. Production value on these lives would help. I mean, doing it in dimly lit motel rooms that people probably bring, $60 hookers to is probably not the best look for my lives, but we'll get there. The knowledge comes first, and then the production value. But no, I got to take more concrete steps. Boxing's crazy right now, because a lot of the opportunities that are going to be handed out in the media are going to be coming from funding from Saudi Arabia. And hey, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a proud hypocritical American. I know my country has done and does a lot of fucked up shit, but I don't know. I want to cover their fights that they hold in the United States because freedom of the press. I want to cover boxing in my country. But yeah, I don't know if I'd ever accept their money and if in the media landscape, but give credit where credit's due. Turki Al-Sheikh is putting on a really good card August 3rd. He's making, better Biev and Bivol. for the time being has fell through. But he put it together, and that's a great fight. And I'll give the man his credit where it's due. But that's a whole. We'll get into that too another time. But I do got to take more serious steps to get to that kind of thing. BG Offner, I can't always just talk my piece on my lives and call it a day. But thank you for asking. Kenny Powers says, "Do you think Navarrete gets the stoppage?" Oof. I don't know. I think I got Navarrete winning, but he could lose this fight because he's at lightweight now. And Navarrete, I say this as a compliment, even though it's a backhand compliment. Navarrete's really good. What he does with his uppercuts and how he proved to me in the Valdez fight, he's more rangy than I gave him credit for. I didn't know if he was rangy or if he was just fighting smaller guys, and he was just a bigger guy, busting them up on the outside with those beautifully, awkwardly timed uppercuts from awkward positions. But against Valdez, he had really good tactics. He had a good IQ. He knew when to turn it on and when to pull out of range, and he fought a great fight against Valdez. And that took him to another level to me, even though I already respected him before that. But he's going to meet his match at lightweight because one of his gifts, like Eric Morales back in the day, this is the backhanded compliment. He's like a lesser version of Eric El Terrible Morales fighting in today's era, where one of his gifts is getting down to 122 to 130 and being almost 5'8", having long arms, and just being bigger than everyone he's going to face from 22 to 30. O'Shaquie Foster, he wouldn't be bigger than. He'd be taller, maybe not even taller. He wouldn't be bigger than O'Shaquie Foster. And you saw him sidestep that fight. O'Shaquie Foster signed with Top Rank. Why aren't they fighting in a unification? He's going to lightweight instead. I think he beats Berinchyk, but Berinchyk, other guys have had, when they get inside on Navarrete, they have success. Joet Gonzalez even had some good success against Navarrete. But Berinchyk is a natural lightweight, unlike those smaller fighters. And even unlike someone like Joet Gonzalez, he has that Ukrainian, educated footwork. He knows how to take certain angles. But ultimately, I think Navarrete is just more dynamic and has more firepower than Berinchyk. And Berinchyk is still more of a high guard guy. And I think Navarrete could find the openings in that high guard. But, he's fighting a legit lightweight now. Now he's fighting someone who might be the stronger man for the first time. And if it's not Berinchyk, I do think he loses at lightweight at some point. But I think he wins tomorrow night, and he's always super fun to watch. He's one of the most fan-friendly fighters in boxing, Vaquero Navarrete. And if he wins, he joins El Terrible Morales and Canelo as a 4-division champion from Mexico. I know Jorge Arce and Juan Manuel Marquez are considered 4-division champs, but I believe they want an interim here, an interim there, regular belt here, regular belt there. Well, Marquez, his 4th division at 140, he won a WBO interim belt against Serenchenko, someone close, similar name to that. And, whereas Morales, he unified at 22, he unified at 130, he won the full-fledged WBC belt at 26 and 40. Canelo, he unified at 54, he unified at 60, he became undisputed at 68, and then he won 1 belt against Kovalev at 75 for the WBO. Navarrete, he's won that WBO top rank belt at every pit stop, never unified. So it's a more thin accomplishment than what Morales or Canelo did. But if he gets to be champion in 4 divisions, it's still a really good accomplishment, and he's a really, really good fighter. So thank you, Kenny Powers. I got a super chat with Shabbat. Thank you, brother, for the $5 super chat. He said, "What's your thoughts on Broner Cobbs, if you have any, on that fight?" I mean, it's kind of trashy but amusing. That's always Broner since like the last 10 years. Like, it's trashy, but he's clever enough that it makes you smile. And I do like Adrian Broner. So that said, though, I favor Blair Cobbs, man. Blair Cobbs is a good athlete. He's younger than Broner. I don't know how much younger he is in actual age, but he's had a lot less fights. Alexis Rocha gave him a beat down. But outside of that, doesn't have as much tread on his tires. Keeps himself in much better physical shape than Adrian Broner does, and he's a natural welterweight, and Broner isn't. Broner's best weights were 135, 140. So Cobbs has always been a good size welterweight, and he's a good athlete, and he's preserved his body better than Broner. So my early pick is actually Blair Cobbs. I think Blair Cobbs wins that fight, but I'd always be happy to see Broner fight and do well. And one thing that was good for Broner in his fight with Hutchinson was it was the first time in a while it looked like he was enjoying his job and actually wanted to be there. Some of that might have to do he's in with an overmatched opponent, a guy who's a lawyer by trade, but AB let his hands go and he fought a good fight against Hutchinson. And Cobbs did gas out against Rocha, but I give the edge to Cobbs. He's fresher, younger, bigger, and keeps himself in better shape. So what's up, Spit Bucket Podcast? Good to see the real ones in here. They're doing their thing. Always good to see them. Shout out to the Spit Bucket Podcast. Thanks, guys, for checking in. Let's see what else. Could I get a Lawrence Okolie, Sean? Lawrence Okolie, Martin Bacoli, Lyndon Arthur, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, Tyson Fury. Who else? Who else do they just, go ham in that pronunciation for? Do they really get their British on? Trying to think who else. Matthew Macklin. Who else, Chad? You got another one? Do you got another one, Chris Gray, besides Lawrence Okolie? Let's see. David Adelaide. We're coming down the stretch of this fifth round. Good job by David Adelaide. There you go. So yeah, we'll ride it out. 3.5 more minutes till we get to an hour. What else do we got in this last three or 4 minutes, chat? Do you think Bud fights Boots to finally settle the score next? Chance Livingston. Thanks for coming in, Chance. No, Bud wants the Canelo fight. He does not want the Boots fight. And he's got Turki Al-Ashik's backing. I think he's been like Tyson Fury because Daniel Kinahan never got expedited from Saudi Arabia. That tells me because that's their man. That's their boy. They're not expediting him because they're making money with him. He helped get them into this boxing thing with his connections with Fury and others, with the MTK thing and everything. So I think Turki Al-Ashik has Bud's back. I think it was kind of revealed that that's who his investor was overseas that he was trying to give Spence a $20 million guarantee to. So yeah, I think Turkey's got Bud's back, and they're going to make a strong push for the Canelo fight. Now, if they can't get the Canelo fight, then yes, maybe we get the more logical Boots Ennis fight, and Canelo has to fight Benavidez because that's what should be happening. Canelo should be fighting Benavidez, and Crawford should be fighting Boots, in my opinion. But Canelo Crawford. My man Sam Gordon from the San Francisco Chronicle used to be out in Vegas with the Review Journal, brilliant journalist. He pointed out to me, but bro, Canelo Crawford is for the highest stakes of them all. That one decides once and for all whose era is it in the post Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao era. Who is it once and for all? Is it Canelo or is it Crawford? And casual fans don't give a shit as much about weight classes and everything. They just want to know who's the best, Canelo or Crawford. So I get that too. Thank you, John Travis, for saying it was a beautiful pronunciation. Now say it's not as if it's a fucking pack of peanuts, Tyrone. Tech Dumb. Is that a reference from a movie? I don't know. Tech Dumb Dad, thank you for the super chat for free. You don't have to spend another super chat. Let me know. What accent do I need to say? It's not as if it's a fucking packet of peanuts, Tyrone. New York comes to mind. It's not as if it's a fucking packet of peanuts, Tyrone. Oh, look it up. Yes. Okay, let me look it up. Let me quickly look this up. It's not as if it's a fucking packet of peanuts. Yarn? Snatch. Is Snatch the Gypsy movie about the Gypsy King? Or the Gypsy King. Is that about is that the Brad Pitt movie? Is right? Isn't Snatch the Brad? No, it's not. It's I'm thinking of what is the? Oh wait, it is. Hold on. London Criminal Underworld. Okay. All right. It's not as if it's a fucking packet of peanuts, is it, Tyrone? Is it? Is that? I don't know. Did I get that right, Tech Dumb Dad? I'm sorry. What's the one I am thinking of that doesn't? Oh no, Brad Pitt isn't. Okay, this is the one I was thinking of. I never seen this movie. I heard it was really good. Maybe I should watch it the day before Fury-Usyk. Maybe it's finally time. You did perfect. Thank you. Good. Thank you, Tech Dumb Dad. Mr. Quake, good to see you, Mr. Quake. Do I think Shakur needs to rematch Edwin and wash him to get his respect back? Tech Dumb Dad said you're young. It's okay. No, don't get me wrong. I know the classics. I've watched The Godfather 1, 2, and 3 a million times. Apocalypse Now, Mean Streets, Goodfellas, bunch of Stanley Kubrick flicks. So don't get me wrong. It's not that it's from the year 2000. It's just I'm not cool enough to have seen Snatch yet. So officially, you are on Fury by knockout. I am not Joseph Sasso. I actually picked Usyk. I picked Usyk. I think that Fury, in some more intangible areas than what's on tape, conditioning, punch resistance, a little bit of desire. I think he still has those things, but I think they've deteriorated just enough that Usyk could win a fight that I was picking Fury to win for the longest time. We'll see. Charles says, will Usyk and Sanchez both win? Let me look up one more time who Frank's facing. I believe Frank Sanchez will win. And I think Sergey Kovalev will win. Let me see. Yeah, against Kabial's fought all for that. That was up. Makhmadov, no defense there in that fight. I think Frank Sanchez will win. And I think Kovalev will win too. Snatch adding it to the watch list. Yes, babe, we are. Let's see. But let's see. Chris Gray says, if Fury wins, do you see him by decision or body shot finish? Fury could stop him. I mean, he's got the size and the punch arsenal to do it. I think that's what makes it a great fight. It's a genuine 50-50 fight. I could see. I think it's more. I could see anything happening in this fight. That's why Las Vegas literally basically has it a 50-50 fight. A lot of fights we call 50-50 fights aren't really 50-50 fights. We called Crawford Spence a 50-50 fight when really Crawford was a favorite all along. What else have we recently called a 50-50 fight that wasn't really a 50-50 fight? Even in the past, fights like De La Hoya Trinidad, De La Hoya Vargas, like De La Hoya was really the favorite in those fights. It wasn't 50-50, even though he wound up losing to Trinidad. Yeah. So, let's see. But Sean needs some water or Disneyland coffee. Indeed. All right. Well, in the history of boxing heavyweights, has a small guy ever beaten a top giant? Well, Holyfield was able to in the Bo rematch. Bo came in a little more out of shape than he did in the first fight, but Holyfield fought one of the most disciplined fights of his career under Emmanuel Stewart. But the modern day Emmanuel Stewart, Sugar Hill, his nephew, is in Tyson's corner, and he's a huge asset to Tyson Fury. Sugar Hill Stewart's one of the best trainers in boxing, so he does have that in his corner. As a small guy beating a top giant, 90 will. I'm trying to think who else. It seldom has happened. Joe Louis beating up, who beat Max Baer beating up Primo Carnera a little bit. Holyfield Bo in the rematch with the Fan Man fight. That's the one that really comes to mind. Chris Bird beat Vitaly Klitschko, but he was losing every round, and then Vitaly just threw his shoulder out. I guess it technically counts. Yeah, you're right, man. If Usyk pulls this off, it's the greatest little man beating a big man upset in the heavyweight division. So Dempsey beat Willard, but Willard wasn't very good, says Josh Truelove. Good point. Have I ever watched Legendary Nights? Oh, a million times. Watched it a million times. Andy Surtharan says Fury. Have at it, brother. So yeah, but all right, I'm rambling on now. Thanks everybody for joining in for the hour. God bless all of yous, and please check back in tomorrow. I'll get started pretty early. Let's see the full card. I'll tell you which fight I'll jump in on. Can't believe Undisputed's finally coming out. I can't wait either. I'm all trained up and ready for console launch, and I want everyone to hop in. I'm going to be fighting other YouTube channels. We're planning it right now. We're going to be doing like whole tournaments on Undisputed when it drops, and I want you guys to come on down and either watch or participate. Get some smoke. Let's see. All right, I'll jump in. Man, it is a deep card. Are they really going to have Usyk Lowe fight after Kovalev? You would think Kovalev's first. I'll jump in for the Kovalev fight. We'll start with Kovalev. We'll do Frank Sanchez. We'll definitely do the Jai Opataya co-main event for the legit Cruiserweight Championship. And then Fury-Usyk. So it's going to be a long-ass live. But let's do it. I'm up for it. So, yes. All right, guys. Have a good one. Everyone take care. And God bless. And see everyone tomorrow. Peace.